Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. It's Emma Says. In today's video, we shall be looking at effective communication in HSE and why it creates and maintains a safe workplace. This is a safety moment. It's a short video actually, so we shall be dashing into effective communication. Effective is more of like it should be clear, and the best reference I chose is ISO 45. So under ISO 45 clause 7.4. Yeah, so it talks about organizations establishing or must establish, implement, and maintain processes for both internal. So internal may mean inside the organization or your company, and external communication. This is we are looking at information that goes out, or information from the suppliers, information from the vendors, uh, interested parties, communities, mainly the stakeholders actually. So it looks at the external communication. But in this context, we are looking at the occupational health and safety management system. So under under ISO 45 clause 7.4, organizations must establish, implement, and maintain processes for both internal and external communication regarding their occupational health and safety management system. Organizations, that may be your company, must define what, when, with whom, and how they communicate uh, this safety information. Ensuring safety information is reliable, consistent, and documented. So you can try to look at pictures or some of the photos we have in the slide. Find that maybe this team is conducting a pre-start before they start work. That can be recorded to be an internal communication. So in the pre-start, it breaks down the job steps and it clearly explains their roles and responsibilities in what they are going to execute. And they point out the risks, the hazards associated with the work they are going to do. In the next photo, maybe if I'm to break it down, you may look at this is lifting operation where we see signs and barriers in place. This also communicates something. This may be exclusion zones, and these are exclusion zones. We are looking at the banksman, we have the riggers. You see that they have hand signals in lifting operations. So this safety information is really required, and yeah, so choosing ISO 45 as a reference to the topic, it points it out. So to break it more further, when you look at internal communication, which is under still 7.4, but some clause 7.4.2. So we look at the hazard and risk communication. In the previous picture, I think you saw they were conducting a pre-start. So, uh, so there's hazard and risk communication. It is a responsibility of the organization to communicate all these hazards and risks associated with the work. Then we have like system changes that can be maybe change in equipment. Every time you change maybe an equipment at a workplace, you introduce new risks. Change in management, or actually to break it down easily, it's more of management of change. So all these changes that come in the workplace, most of the times uh, uh, they may introduce new hazards and also risks, and these risks and hazards may need to be communicated clearly to the workers. For example, I can give you an example. If, for example, you're using manual handling, so you are carrying heavy loads, you may find that in manual handling you have hazards like repetitive movements, you have carrying heavy loads. Then when you introduce maybe use of mechanical aid, that is, if you introduce a forklift. So if you introduce a forklift, so you have introduced new hazards. For example, blind spots. It can be a hazard when you're operating such an equipment. We have mechanical damage. We have in case the equipment is lifting and it will gets issues. Or then also we have a movement of such equipment, and people, they may be sharing the same lane. So all these hazards need to be clearly what communicated, and also the mitigation measures have to be put in place to help control the risks associated with working with these new system changes. Okay, then in internal communication, you find that worker engagement, this can be through, if you try to look at the picture down, that is during a management walkthrough, find that management is walking through and it engages with the workforce. These are the frontline. This is the frontline team that is managing or actively dealing with the hazards on site. So you find that they give you their feedback, they share with you what they are going through, the challenges, and they are easy to correct. Then we also have involving workers in risk assessment processes. That is coming up with the JHAEA, that is a job hazard environment analysis, or JSA in some areas, that is job safety analysis. Coming up with there are many engagements which you can involve in workers. Maybe in our next videos, we have HSE meetings. We have worker engagements can also be done, can be seen in practical trainings or demonstrative trainings where you're engaging workers and in the training. So we also look at internal communication. You may look at the tools, communication tools that we are using. When you try to look on the in the front of the photos, you see HSE Noteboard. That can be a tool. In some areas, in some companies, we are using internet to send emails. Some of them, this is through campaigns. We roll out campaigns, PIGs. So we have communication tools may vary according to how the company may choose to disseminate this information to the team. So it can also use the pre-stats, the 5x5, the hit cards, that's the hazard identification cards, to communicate and engage the workers in actively on safety information. So when you look at maybe external communication, where we are looking at contractors and visitors, we have, I think, in most cases, in most projects, whenever we have either visitors or contractors visiting or regulatory bodies, there are some HSE requirements that they need to adhere to access some of these areas, given the nature of the hazards or risks they may possess. So interested parties. So we look at all this. So basically, if I if I move to the next slide, this is more of like the exact extract from the ISO 45 2018, where in the internal communication they said the organization shall internally communicate information relevant to the OHS management system among the various levels and functions of the organization, including changes to the OHS management system. For example, changes in policies, new revisions. Usually we do this lessons learned. Okay, whenever we have like an incident, whenever we have anything that comes up, so these changes also have to be communicated to the various levels and functions of the organization. Then it also ensures its communication processes. The organization shall ensure that its communication processes or process enables workers to contribute to continual improvement. This is more of like allowing feedback from the workers. This is through listening to their grievances and concerns, their worker complaints, and then also actively involving them in decision making on HSE aspects. It's really important to appreciate the workers, and also involving them helps them accept or feel that urge to respect their contribution in the risk assessment or in any form of tool that has been used to disseminate the information. They own the process. Becomes easier for them to implement because they are the front line. they're the ones on the ground. So when you look at external communication, which is 7.3 from the ISO itself, the organization shall externally communicate information relevant to the OHS management system as, as established by the organization's communication processes and taking into account of its legal requirements and other requirements. An organization has a legal obligation to adhere to the HSA requirements or to protect its workers. This is also it's also reflected in the ILO, it's International Labour Organization, where the employer has certain obligations to adhere. For example, competent supervision, we have training, we have safe workplaces. All these things the workers have to be introduced to and to enable them work and safely go home. Yeah, basically that is a breakdown of our safety moment for today. Yeah, so today is 20th July. Yeah, basically that's it. If you have any questions, you can feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you.